Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hayden here, and today we're going to be talking about a very popular strategy among beginner investors, a great way for people to break into the world of real estate investing, and that strategy is house hacking. Now, in this video, what I want to do is I want to go over what house hacking is, some of the pros of house hacking, and then in my eyes, some of the cons of house hacking. And I really want you to consider this if you're either about to get into a house hack, whether you're thinking about doing it, looking at it as a strategy, diving into what is house hacking. So I want to talk about what the pros are and what the cons are, so that before you actually go out and do it, you can know what to expect and how this is going to differ from a normal real estate investment, where some of the benefits you get from a normal real estate investment may not come in, and why I choose not to house hack, why I've never house hacked, and why it may make sense for you, but it didn't make sense for me, and I'm going to go over that in this video. So before we get started, if you haven't got a copy of my best-selling book, Skip the Flip, you can do that absolutely free in the description below. I'd love for you guys to check that out in audiobook or PDF. Both of those are absolutely free. And so some of the benefits of what we're talking about today, one of those is going to be limited equity growth, which is super important when you're building wealth in real estate. And Skip the Flip really dives into how to build a lot of equity, a lot of wealth in real estate that's both going to make you a lot of cash flow, but also earn you huge sums of money. That's going to be one of the downsides of house hacking. So we're going to dive into that. But if you want to learn more about that, to kind of go along with this video, grab that book for free in the description. Okay, so let's dive in. So here's the thing, house hacking is a great strategy. Essentially what house hacking is if I'm looking to go and to buy a house or to make a real estate investment, I'm going to try to find a house that has more bedrooms than I need. So if I'm, a single person and I want to just need, one bedroom, that's all I need in my life. Maybe I need a bedroom and an office. So I need 2 bedrooms or kind of some space. Well, if I can go out into the market and I can find a house, let's say it's a 5-bedroom house with 3 or 4 bathrooms, what I can do is I can buy that house. Let's say I can buy it for $350,000, right? So at $350,000, I can go out and buy that house, and I'm gonna live in the house. So that means I'm gonna qualify for an owner-occupant loan. And so here's the thing, the government really wants people to own houses, so they have owner-occupant loans that come at really, really good terms. Sometimes you can get as low as 3.5% down to 5% down on these owner-occupant homes, and it makes the goal of owning a home, the down payment you have to have, really attainable for a lot of people if they just save their money and buy it. So the benefit, as opposed to a normal real estate investment, is normally in a real estate investment that's specifically for investment purposes, is you're gonna have to put 20, 25, 30% down on a home. So let's just say that we wanted to put 20% down on a $350,000 investment property. Well, 20% of $350,000 is $70,000 of equity we're gonna have to put into it. So it makes it really hard for a lot of people to go out and actually put $70,000 on their first investment property. After you've been investing for a while, you'll have enough money to go do that regularly. But when you're first getting started, going from a $70,000, which is 20% down, all the way down to a 3.5% payment, of $12,250, that becomes a lot more affordable than the $70,000. So the kind of key point here is that if you're gonna go buy it, it's the same exact property for $350,000. If you're gonna go buy it and classify it as an investment, you're gonna have to put down $70,000. If you're gonna classify it as an owner-occupant home, which means you're gonna live there for at least 1 year, then you can only put 3.5% down, which again just makes buying this property a whole lot easier. Okay, so the point is that if we live in this house, we want to go buy it for ourselves, then obviously we're going to have to pay a mortgage, we're going to have to pay property taxes, we're going to have to pay maintenance, we're going to have to pay upkeep, and expenses come with that, right? So Robert Kiyosaki talks about how a house is not an asset, a house is a liability. And in a lot of ways that's true, because when you go buy a house, you're gonna have to pay every single month, and that's the definition of a liability. Okay, you're paying for this every single month. So what house hacking does is house hacking turns a liability into an asset by going from cash flow negative to cash flow positive. So on this $350,000 house, if you went out and you got an owner-occupant loan, so you'd be putting down 3.5% and you'd borrow the other 96.5%, that'd come out to $337,000 that you would borrow from the bank. And at today's interest rates of, let's just say 3% on a 30-year loan, that'd give you a monthly payment of roughly $1,423. I'm just doing this on a simple calculator, loan calculator on my phone. You guys can do this too. So $1,423 is going to be how much we're going to have to pay the bank, plus we're going to have to pay property taxes and insurance. So let's say that our payment comes out to, let's call it $1,600 a month total cost on this property. So what the goal of house hacking is to do, the goal of house hacking is to find a way to make this property that's going to cost us $1,600 a month into something that's actually going to make us some money, or the goal is at least to live for free, is a way to acquire your property without having to pay for it, okay? So the goal is these extra bedrooms that you don't need. What you want to do in the core of house hacking is I just want to go find some roommates to fill those rooms, that empty space in my house, and I want them to pay me for it. It's just like if we were to buy a rental property and rent out the entire property for a fee. It's the same exact play, except we're just going to be renting individual rooms and the right to use the common areas in my house. So there's a living room and extra bedrooms. I want to rent out the right to have one particular bedroom and use the rest of the property just as if you were renting the entire property, right? The benefit is that we're going to find people to pay us for space that we otherwise weren't going to use. So if we had, 3 spare bedrooms and say we needed to make $1,600 a month, everybody's going to have to pay us $1,533 in order for us to break even. But let's say we could rent the bedrooms at $600, then we'd actually become cash flow positive, right? 6 times 3, that'd come out to $1,800. If our expenses are, $1,600 like we were talking about earlier, we'd make $200 a month and we'd get to live for free in this property. The other benefit to go along with that is we're having people pay our mortgage for us. So in the example of paying $1,423 a month, again, simple loan calculator on my phone, all that money's going to the bank, but some of that's going towards interest and some of it's going towards paying off our loan. So at a 3% interest rate on your very first payment out of the $1,423, you're actually going to have $580 go towards paying off your loan. So not only did you get to live for free, but you made $580 in equity through the reduction of your loan. Another thing that can be making you money in the meantime is you could actually be having the property value go up, whether it just be from inflation and home prices rising at, call it 2% a year, whatever it may be. You're going to be making some money as long as the value of the property goes up. That's not a sure thing though. It's not always guaranteed to go up. A lot of people think it is, but it's not always guaranteed to go up. But it could be a really big benefit. If you end up buying a house for $350,000, let's say you house hack it for 5 years, maybe it's worth $400,000 at the end of 5 years, and that's another $50,000 that you're going to make. So really the benefits of house hacking is that you can buy a house and not have to pay. You can get paid to live there. You can acquire a property. You can get a mortgage underneath your belt, which is going to help you acquire more mortgages, help you acquire more properties, and that's a really, really big benefit that you need to think about. The other big key benefit is just you own property, right? You're going to take down that hurdle of, man, I don't know if I can own property, to you're going to go through the entire process. You're going to see that it's really not that hard, not that big of a deal to go out and own your own property, and that's going to catapult you into buying more and more properties. Hopefully, more investment properties. But one thing you can do in kind of the play of a house hack is once you acquire one property and you live there, you actually live there for a year, you can go out and you can do this again, right? So if you lived in this property, and let's say you acquired it for $350,000 and your payment was $1,423 a month, and you could be cash flow positive or even break even while you're occupying a room, well, you could do the same thing, but you could move out and then you could rent that bedroom out to somebody else. So that's just going to add even more cash flow, and you're going to go do the whole process. You're going to do that again in another house, and hopefully now this other house that was making you, call it $200 a month at $600 per room, you rent that out. Let's say you get another $600. Now you're going from $200 of cash flow positive to $800 of cash flow positive. $200 plus the extra $600 that you get for renting your room out, and then you go and you do this on another property. So now what's happening after doing this for, call it a year and a half, 2 years, you have 2 properties, both of them, other people are paying your mortgage off for you, they're going up in value, and you're living for free, which is a huge benefit, right? So house hacking definitely has its upsides. I see why a lot of people want to get into it, but I want to talk quickly about why I've never gotten into it, and why I don't see it as the best play to building wealth. I think it's a great way to get started, but it's not a true wealth builder in my opinion. So I've personally never done house hacking because I don't want to live with a bunch of roommates that, I just like my space. And a lot of people are like that. A lot of people want their space, can't imagine living with roommates. And I was one of those people that it just didn't make a lot of sense for me. An alternative that I would have considered is buying a duplex, triplex, or quadruplex where, you actually buy the whole property with one loan, just like we're talking about, but you rent the other units out and your living spaces aren't actually connected. So that's kind of the difference between house hacking and buying a quadruplex, duplex. Same exact strategy, but the units, that you're renting out are connected through a common area. And therefore you're living with people. You've acquired roommates and hopefully those roommates pay. Another thing to consider, a con, is that if some roommate doesn't pay and you have to evict them, that can become really, really awkward to have to evict a roommate, to go through that entire process, to serve them notices, post it on their bedroom door, and then see them in the kitchen, 15 minutes later. It could just really make for an awkward situation that I've never really wanted to be in. But one of the other plays that is a con in my mind is that we can't build huge volumes of equity, right? So like I was talking about earlier in Skip to Flip, we go through what an NOI is, which is income minus expenses equals NOI, and a cap rate, and how a cap rate on commercial properties can really be a wealth multiplier. Okay, and so what I mean by that is for every dollar that we get in additional income from a property can be worth up to $20 of value and therefore equity on commercial properties, which you're not going to get that benefit in residential. Okay, you cannot house hack commercial properties because by definition commercial properties aren't houses, right? They're residential properties. They're valued through a fair market value system, meaning what are people willing to pay for them? So no matter how much income you can get a house to generate, it's never going to be to a benefit. It's not an equity and a wealth multiplier. So in the earlier example where I said, hey, if you rent your bedroom out, you're gonna make $600 more a month. $600 a month is $7,200 a year. So that $7,200 a year, you're gonna make extra, which is awesome, side hustle money, pocket money. But if we were to make an extra $7,200 a year in a commercial property, I would take that $7,200 and I would divide that by, let's say, a 6 cap, right? So 0.06, I divide 7,200 by 0.06, and I'd get $120,000. So what that means is that for every $7,200 I make extra a year in a house hack, it's just that, it's $7,200. But for every $7,200 extra I can make in a commercial property a year, that's an extra $120,000 of equity that I have in that property on a 6 cap. Could be more on a lower cap, could be less on a higher cap. But the point is that I want to not just make that extra money, but I want to get the upside in the value of that property going up as well whenever I can produce and I can generate more income. So for that reason, I've always wanted to focus my efforts and my energy on every single dollar in extra income I can make. I want that to be a multiplier on my wealth as well, and that's why I choose to invest in commercial properties rather than things like house hack and residential properties. Okay, the final point to this is that I don't think that you're ever going to make a life-changing amount of money from house hacking, right? You could get your living paid for, which let's call it saves you $1,500 a month, and let's say you can make an extra couple $100 a month, and that's great. That can really kind of catapult you, build a foundation, a financial foundation of stability to where you can really go out and start investing on top of that. But I've never met a wealthy person who said that they got wealthy from being a great house hacker, right? Everybody who makes a lot of wealth invests in bigger commercial properties, starts small but gets bigger. So if you want to be a house hacker, that's fine, but just look at it like it is. Look at it as a stepping stone to going out and investing in bigger commercial properties, just like we talk about in Skip to Flip, and use it as a foundation builder to catapult you to your next level, of real estate investing. That's the important part to know, is that house hacking is great, but it should just be a stepping stone in your journey. But you need to make sure you're okay with roommates. You need to make sure, you treat it like a business. Don't move some of your buddies in there, and if they don't pay, it's okay because it's your buddy. You need to treat a house hack like a business, like you would any other rental property, because that's exactly what it is, right? You're renting out property, and everybody needs to play by the rules. There needs to be leases in place. There needs to be rules about how you live there. There needs to be deadlines for when money's paid. There needs to be clear, penalties if leases aren't paid, and you may have to take legal action on that. Just like if somebody else doesn't pay in a rental property, you have to evict them. You might have to do that. So if that's your buddy that you move in, you got to evict your buddy. That could harm your friendship. So it's just things that you need to think about before you dive in. But overall, house hacking is a really, really solid strategy to get started, as a way to live for free, as a way to acquire property, and to use these owner-occupant loans that really there's no other loans out there like them, right? This is super beneficial, low rates, long-term, never have to pay them off, no balloons. Everything of that nature, just super solid loans. So if you guys are thinking about house hacking, dive more into it. I hope this video was a general overview that was useful for you to understand what it is, why it's good, what its limitations are. So if you like this video, do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. I'd love to have you. We're going to drop some more content later this week. I'd love to have you tune in, view that. So again, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time. If you want to check out some other videos on commercial real estate investing, check out some of the other ones on my channel. I talk about commercial real estate investing all the time. That's my specialty. That's what I love. And again, if you want to learn more about it, grab my best-selling book, Skip the Flip. Absolutely free, PDF or audio copy, narrated by me, of course. That's in the description below. See you next time.